Back with closing trades, and Bhanu Prakash Srivastav, the CMD at Bharat Electronics, joins in to talk about how their numbers have been. So, great set of numbers in the fourth quarter as well as the full year as well. You did set a target of 15% revenue growth in FY25. What do you think could be the drivers, and do you expect the growth rate to accelerate then in the next financial too?
See, we have an order book of 75,934 crores as on 1st April 2024. So, based on the execution plan, what is the requirement of the customer and when they need based on their platform requirements, we have planned a target of around 23,000 crore, which gives around 15% growth. So, that is our target, and it's well within our plan. So, we are very confident that we are able to achieve in this range.
Hi sir, I just wanted your take regarding the margin picture as well, because that too has been improving and stayed around the 48% mark. Do you expect an improvement from here on in the gross margins, and EBITDA margins, where do you expect them to be between that 23-25% band?
See, the way our product mix is there and the way our customer expectations are there, in this type of business, 23 to 25% of EBITDA margin is a fair margin. So our endeavor will be to operate in the similar range, because more we go, customers' expectation will be to be passing on the benefit to them. So 23 to 25% what we are targeting, and I'm confident that we'll able to operate in the range of in this profit range.
Right. You've also said, Mr. Srivastav, that the order inflow for FY25 could be around 25,000 crore rupees. And you've already received orders worth about 1150 odd crore rupees till date in this fiscal. Where is it that you're expecting major orders to come in from? And what is the order book visibility that you have for FY25?
See, 25, we have projected an order inflow of around 25,000 crore. This contains many line items, because we have supplied a lot of equipments to defense forces, and their upgrade requirements are there. The requirements will be for spares, new equipments, that where value may not be large, but the spread is quite wide. A few slightly bigger projects are like BMP-2 upgrade around 3,000 crores, then some radar systems costing around 2,000 crores, some EW system in the range of 1,000 to 1,500 crores, and many items where that line item value will be somewhere between 100 crores to 1,000 crores. So all added together, we are targeting around 25,000 crore in this financial year, excluding bigger order like QRSAM, MRSAM and all these things, which will take time, and there is always uncertainty associated with these big projects when they will get cleared and approved by Government of India.
So, and Mr. Srivastav, what about the entire export portfolio? Because your exposure there has been increasing. Where do you expect it to trend now?
See, export is a priority area for us also, and for Government of India and MOD also. So we are working very hard to increase that our share of exports. As of now, we have an export order worth around $400 million. And another $200 million we are targeting in the current financial year. But export, as you are aware, supply depends upon when customer needs it, and what is their likely expectations. So we are working on that, and based on our analysis, we understand, and we have planned around $110 million plus in this financial year. There are some of the leads we are working with many of our customers in the friendly countries and Western countries, African countries, and as and when it gets materialized, we will share the detail with you.
Right. Mr. Srivastav, the share of indigenization in the Indian defense sector has been continuously moving up. How is it that you expect your company to benefit from this, and what are the strategies in place to maintain or increase your market share of 12 to 13% currently?
See, this is the strength of Bharat Electronics, our focus on research and development. We spent around 6% of our turnover last year on research and development. We have a very strong R&D team consisting of around 2,700 engineers and scientists who are working in various technology domain and helping the development of contemporary and new products also, and indigenizing whatever current imports are there. So that has really helped us a lot, and that's how you see the result in the amount of order we are acquiring, and the customer is showing faith in our ability. Because with our R&D efforts and indigenization, we are able to reduce the vulnerability and risk factor related with any imported systems, not only in supply issue, but also supporting the equipment for their lifetime, that is 15 to 20 years, to the customer.
Okay, Mr. Srivastava, on that note, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for making time and speaking with us today. In fact, not just BL, the entire defense pack is fairly active today. Whether it's a Garden Reach or a Mazgar Dock or a Cochin Shipyard, all of these names are trending higher. In fact, PSUs as a whole, so whether it's an RVNL or other names from the railway vertical, that is IRFC, they're all trending higher. But the market itself is almost staring at 22,950. So we of course scaled the all-time high level of 22,794 thereabouts that were there earlier. Then we managed to scale 22,800 and 22,900 swiftly, and now we are 50 points shy from that 23,000 mark. Whether it happens today in the next 25 minutes or not, we'll have to track, but nonetheless, it's a solid rally that we have on our hands. In terms of the individual movers, it's the Adani group of stocks. Take a look at Adani Enterprises, up over 8% right now. Adani Ports is higher by 5%. Good amount of traction on the likes of L&T, M&M, and even Reliance Industries. Yes, it's a gain of just around 2% coming in there, but that stock is still the highest contributor in terms of the gains that we are seeing in the market right now. What's languishing is clearly Sun Pharma as well as Power Grid. Both of them are the result reactions. Let's take it across to our technical experts to get more sense as to where the market is headed. Kunal, as far as the market mood is concerned today, how much of it is with respect to, let's say, just expiry and the other factors coming at play, and the fact that of course India VIX has cooled off? Or do you think this is now a very high conviction rally because it's been slow and steady and now perhaps inching closer towards that election as well?
All three of them combined. So I think it's a mix of large cap names doing well. It's a mix of India VIX falling off or cooling back towards 21.5 mark. And I think with the expiry play, where I think the fact that we are heading towards a very strong mark of 23,000 mark. So remember, I think start of this month we were sub the 22,000 mark for the index, and when you typically see such kind of a start to a expiry month, there is a tendency for option writers to try and look out for the round strikes as maybe key hubs of creating fresh short positions, which means 23,000 call option as well as maybe 21,500, 22,000 could have been those two odd strikes where there would have been some good amount of writing, which could have been incrementally seen the first half of the month of May. Now that we are attempting towards a breakout of this 23,000 mark, I believe that the unwinding would just start off for the index options. Now there are two factors which are very, very positive for the indices. One, of course, is the large cap names which have made a comeback, and there is a slew of short covering which is due for these large cap names. So that could probably take the markets much more higher. And the biggest disadvantage for the market was the India VIX rising up higher. That could now play as an advantage to the index, because when you are at a VIX of 21, 22 and such kind of higher levels, the tendency of the index to break past about the strong psychological mark and resistances is very much on the easier side. Had we been, for example, at VIX of maybe 10, 12, then breaking past about 23,000 mark would have required a lot of effort.
So after 23,000, do we then head to 23,500 in a swift way, or there'll be a correction again, you believe, and then we'll make that attempt?
So if the India VIX remains at 21, 22, I think then we are looking at a jump of 2% at every hurdle for the index.
Right, okay, let's welcome on board Ajay Bagga as well. Ajay, just a whisker literally away from that 23,000 mark now on the index. 29 points now, actually. What do you think is fueling this rally? And more importantly, are we just gearing up to sell on news post June 4th?
I think so. True. That's a very true point, Aisha. I would say that if you're getting this kind of a pre-results rally, probably you will see some kind of a let-off on the 4th. What is the catalyst is the RBI dividend. That has changed the game for banks. So it started with banks rallying today on the base of that 2.1 lakh crore dividend announced by RBI, which will bolster government revenues it will create space for private borrowers. It will lower the interest rates in the economy, help reduce the fiscal deficit, or help the government invest that money. If the government wants to hold its glide path on the fiscal and they don't use up this money towards the market borrowing being reduced, then they could use it for some other initiative. Whichever way you cut it, it was a very positive development. Treasury gains for banks as the yields came down sub 7% for the 10-year paper. So public sector banks are rallying today on those treasury gains that the banks would have made post that announcement. And the third thing is overall it sets a very good signal that if RBI is announcing something which is so huge, the economy is obviously doing very well as a surrogate, and that is giving confidence to RBI to keep 6.5% as a reserve and pass on the rest to the fiscal. So overall, I would say RBI was the trigger, and then maybe short covering. There was some shorts in the system who had to cover in a rush, and banks were very underowned. Yesterday, if you look at where the bank Nifty, also how the positioning was, it was looking much weaker than the Nifty. And today is a catch-up trade. And then the big bellwethers have added to it, Reliance or IT. Again, nothing has changed on IT, Aisha. Really, for IT to be rallying so strongly. NVIDIA numbers are a hardware number or a data center kind of number, not what our companies are doing. So it's more a catch-up rally triggered by the RBI and then a short squeeze taking over.
Okay, so the trigger might be that RBI dividend, but the short squeeze is also something which is playing out. But we are now less than, I think, just around 20 points away from that all-time high level. 14 points. It's a matter of, when, because it's no longer an if situation. Most likely, it seems like if you're lucky, we'll get that level of 23,000 today itself, given the momentum that is there in the markets right now. Kush Bora is also with us. Kush, what's your view? 23 happening today, and if it does happen, what next for the markets?
Well, first up, I think congratulations are in order for all of us. But I think if that does happen, I think it's not a bad idea to take some money off the table. While the general direction of the rally or the markets was, perhaps up, this magnitude is something that's, perhaps caught a few shots off guard, and you're seeing this short covering rally. I think it's not a good, it's not a bad idea to take some money off the table. Also, let's not forget that this market has been kind enough to give us those dips, every now and then to buy into. So for me, the texture will still remain buy on dips. Not sure how deep the dip will be, perhaps, but even if you get like a 150, 100, 200 points dip, that should be taken as an opportunity to buy on the Nifty.
Right. Okay, let's look at the contribution list, because I think it's L&T which is really doing all the heavy lifting today, 3.6% higher. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports may be the biggest percentage movers, but purely in terms of weightage, I think it would be L&T. Then, of course, Maruti M&M are chugging along very smartly, as are Hero MotoCorp, Eicher. Axis is holding up nearly 3% higher. Big boys like ICICI Bank higher by about 2%. Bajaj Auto as well looking good. SBI has made a dash. Guess what? Even HDFC Bank has moved up 2%. It's almost closing in on 1,500. Reliance Industries higher by about 1.5%. And even with this roaring move on the index, there are some laggards. So, Cipla has done nothing. ITC is quiet after its numbers. Britannia is flat. Sun Pharma is down. Tata Consumer, NTPC, Hindalco, they've really not participated today. Kunal, where do you see signs of leadership right now? Because right now it looks like autos.
Yeah, it looks like autos. It looks like private sector banks are making a comeback, for themselves. There is a, definite wave of short covering which is there in the private sector banking names, and I think we are looking at the likes of HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, etc., making a strong comeback for themselves. Axis Bank is also in line or very close towards a breakout of its previous major highs of 1,200 approximately. So I think with this slew of large cap names adding up, it's just about going into the second leg of movement on the upside. And remember, I think the two key sectors which have been underperforming, private sector banking names, IT, and maybe to a larger extent even FMCG stocks. All three of these sectors are making a very strong comeback. Even the underperforming names, for example, Reliance Industries, L&T, I think these stocks are also making a comeback. So sectorally, I believe that, or rather in terms of a trend, I believe now it could be the wave of short covering. And all of these underperforming stocks, large cap names specifically, these stocks can make a very strong comeback.
Ajay, is that your analysis as well? You think the market is going to move now bottom up? The underperformers will be the ones which would be the leaders?
Yeah, Aisha, it does happen that sectors which have been lagging tend to do well. So there are enough contrarian fund managers who are talking of, say, cement or IT leading the next leg up. I would stay in the mainstream. I think still because of this macro and the political continuity that the markets are factoring in, the industrials, the domestic cyclicals, auto, and the financials. These should continue to lead the rally. What is a little concerning now is sectors like defense and railways, where the valuations are high. But as you've seen with some of the public sector defense names, the kind of results that came in, and there was an instant re-rating, or the public sector power names, again, a very strong growth coming through there. So markets are factoring that in when they're giving that higher valuation. I would stick to that tested policy for now. I think IT is still some time to go. And today's IT move, frankly, I'm surprised. Luckily, I was not short IT at least. I had enough sense not to do that. I was long on banks. So a very happy day for me today. But overall, I think domestic cyclicals and the infra cap good major players, auto and financials, I would stick to these as still the leading sectors going into this new government and the new budget coming in July. I think these will be the key beneficiaries. IT, pharma, exporters, I think still some time to go.
Taken, so that's a view coming in at 16 points away. So let's take a break when we can, because you don't know when we'll hit that mark of 23,000. Quick break and we'll be right back.
Listen, there's a good insurance policy.
A good insurance policy. Let's ask AI. A policy in which premium payment is limited but provides income for lifetime.
LIC Jeevan Utsav.
A policy with whole life insurance cover also.
LIC's Jeevan Utsav.
Wow! Let's buy. LIC's Jeevan Utsav policy is our best choice.
Even I was telling you the same. LIC's Jeevan Utsav.
Lifetime celebration. With LIC's Jeevan Utsav, your future is set. 70 साल से ज्यादा के बुजुर्गों का मुफ्त इलाज, मोदी की गारंटी। फिर एक बार मोदी सरकार, कमल का बटन दबाएं, भाजपा को जिताएं।
Presenting the SBI Automotive Opportunities Fund. Benefit from India's growing automotive ecosystem. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
आप जैसा कोई मेरी जिंदगी में आए तो बात बन जाए।
Jio Air Fiber?
टीवी चैनल्स की बहार, OTT की भरमार, कनेक्ट करो कुछ भी वाईफाई ऑलवेज तैयार, बात बन जाए, बात बन जाए।
बदमाश। कल चाहे जो भी हो, मेरी फैमिली का फ्यूचर हमेशा सुरक्षित रहेगा। अच्छा लगता है ना जब आप किसी पे इस तरह भरोसा कर सकते हो।
ICICI Prudential Life Insurance, जिम्मेदारी लगे प्यारी।
Take me home.
New Soars with advanced Kia Connect. Tech is now badass.
Kia, movement that inspires.
हमारा नाम भी ना तरक्की है। जैसे शादी एक बार होती है, हनीमून भी एक ही बार होता है।
अच्छा ठीक है, पर कहीं आसपास चले? ऊटी?
Presenting Canara Bank's Easy Loans, यानी तरक्की और डिपॉजिट्स मतलब सेविंग्स, क्योंकि ये टुगेदर तो बैंकिंग बेटर।
Victoria is quickly earning a rep.
Well, Kunal, how many points away?
So technically, I think we are just 6.4 points away.
Oh my God. Okay.
Wow.
Just 4 points away. I mean, this is some speed of the rally, right?
I
How
think
many
when we were-
points in today's trading session?
390 points on the Nifty.
Wow. Yeah, there you go. 390 points on your screens right now.
And it's a 1,000-point rally which is there on the Bank Nifty and the Sensex. So I think that one is the bigger pull today because the Bank Nifty is up a solid 2%. So when we hit that 22,800 mark, we were wondering whether there's going to be a bit of a consolidation, whether 22,900 will come swiftly or not. Forget 22,900. We're now staring at 23,000 and it's very, very imminent on the cards. Yes, it's only 10 minutes left, but the kind of move that we are seeing on Reliance right now and the other heavyweights, we're just waiting by for that number to really hit the screens 23,000. But for now, let me tell you the big pullers right now. Reliance is the top contributor with that 50-point contribution, 2% higher for Reliance, followed by HDFC Bank. And bulk of that move on HDFC Bank has actually happened in the last few minutes itself. Those candlesticks will also come up for you on the screen. It's a 40-point contribution. L&T was doing quite well, still holding on to 4% gain. ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, these are your big gainers right now. Kush, let me throw it to you. If we do hit that 23,000 mark, in terms of your sectoral preference, what changes? Would you start looking at banking names more, with a lot more confidence and the fact that Bank Nifty can then chug along that 50,000 mark?
For sure. In fact, I think the Bank Nifty is actually, broken above some of the key resistance zones. 48,300, 48,500 being, a couple of levels. I think this could perhaps extend the rally, and I won't shy away from saying that the 50,000 mark is really on the cards. I mean, you just need in case of a move like this, maybe just a couple of days. But that level is now becoming very realistic. Plus, we know the underperformance that the Bank Nifty has had versus the Nifty for the last year, perhaps year and a half. So I think banking is one space. Other than that, I think the other sectors to look at, and those sectors have been doing well, but capital goods will perhaps start to roar once again. So the likes of L&T is already doing well, Siemens, ABB, Cummins, some of these names will start doing well. So I think these are the two sectors that I will focus on. Bank Nifty, purely on the basis of the short covering rally getting extended.
Okay, point taken. So that's the view coming in as far as the overall setup is concerned. Bank Nifty is where Kush believes there's a lot of strength. Ajay, within what you are looking at, what are the sectors that you would incrementally want to invest into? Would it be those infrastructure, industrials, railway names? Or you're looking at shaking it a bit and probably going towards consumers, auto, IT and the other laggards?
Yeah, consumer tends to do well. IT also surprisingly does quite well every general election. But this time, more on the global issues, I'm not so optimistic on IT. Consumer normally, what happens last time around 2019, the expectation or the estimates were about 60,000 crores were spent in the national elections. Formally and informally, but in the end, it translates into a huge cash fillip into the economy. This time around, the NGOs are estimating about 120,000 crores having gone into the economy in terms of spending by the major parties and the candidates. So it is a big fillip for consumer, but I would stick still to infra, cap goods. Domestic cyclicals, I think there we are, when you are in an economy like India, we have to benefit. And then the indigenization themes like railways and defense, you will have to be picky. It's not easy pickings anymore given where the valuations are, but there is a growth runway very much there. IT, I think, is still a couple of quarters away, still early days for IT to really show a big turnaround. Those strategies will be turned and we will see a recovery in IT and then it will grow again. But we are still waiting to figure out who are the winners and who's getting it right. I think that rejig of strategies has to still be seen in terms of Indian IT.
Do you see that on the charts? Could there be a revival in the IT names?
Yeah, so large cap stocks have already started to see round of short covering. In fact, I was looking at the futures data, and over the last 7 trading sessions, there has been almost 5 days when the quantum of unwinding of open interest has been much higher. So yesterday and day before it was just 0.5% to 1% broadly, But I think the 2 days prior to that, there was an unwinding of almost 7% to 8% consecutively for 2 days on these large cap stocks. And that's a big quantum because all of a sudden on the middle of the month, middle of an expiry, with no cues as such, when you see such kind of, open interest data point, it indicates that, the positioning has started to change from a trading perspective. And then when you try and, supplement this with the price action over the last 4-5 days, we've seen many of these large cap IT names, Infosys, Tech Mahindra, Wipro, etc. They've been making a base for themselves and moving up higher by a margin of 4 to 5%. So the data definitely complements that, we could be looking at a fresh round of short covering. But the only concern with these IT stocks, at least over the last 2-3 months, is that they've seen those 3-4 days of odd price up move, but then they've lacked the follow through uptick post that. So that's the bigger point which we need to see going forward.
Okay, point taken, but that mark of 23,000 has been a bit of a tease. It's not happening in a hurry. We are now almost 40 points away, so just 4 minutes left. Doesn't look like it's going to happen today. But let's take the BTSC trades then from our technical experts. Kush, what's the buy today, sell tomorrow idea?
Well, a couple of them. From the cash segment, we've got Tejas Networks. The stock's been fairly volatile, but on the whole, the trajectory has been upwards. So I think that's one stock that could be considered even from a portfolio perspective or a near-term trade. Here, the targets would be 1225 and 1275. 1140 would be the stop loss. The second one that I had was Adani Ports with the first target of 1445 and the second target of 1470. The first target's been achieved. So perhaps for the second target now, you could consider the target here will be 1470 and you could bump up the stop loss to 1420 now.
Right. Kunal, what are you buying today, selling tomorrow?
Banks and large cap private sector banking names. So Axis Bank is something which I would recommend. Fresh breakout for the stock about 1150 plus mark. So targets of 1220, stop loss at 1130. And HDFC Bank is the other name which is also coming back into a breakout mode above 1480 plus mark. So would suggest a buy with 1535 as a target and stop loss at 1460.
Okay, point taken. On that note, Ajay, Kunal as well as Kush, we'll let you go. Thanks so much for joining us today. Well, that 23,000 did not happen today. 2.5 minutes left, so doesn't look like now is going to be the time that 23,000 mark would be achieved today. But nonetheless, it was a very, very strong showing. It started off with that RBI dividend playing a part in the mega rally, and that's why the banking index was doing quite well. In fact, it was a 1,000-point rally or over that as far as the banking index is concerned. But by the end of the trading session, it's around that 960, 980 points. But still, a 2% rally on an intraday basis is definitely something that deserves a mention. The Nifty also did quite well, 1.5% gain coming in. However, the broader markets were a bit underperforming today, and I just say that because the mid-cap index was up only 0.5% and small cap too was up 0.18%. So small cap has been one space which has been underperforming all throughout this week. Last week it was up almost 5 to 6%, but this week it's been on the back foot. Even the advance decline ratio is not favoring the advances as much, and that clearly tells you that today the bulk of the rally has come in only from the large cap names. So let's rewind some of those large cap names that have been pulling the markets higher today. In terms of the percentage gain, it was Adani Enterprises, which was higher by around 8.3%. Adani Ports up around 5%. M&M also had a good rally, so 4% gain coming in there. L&T, Axis Bank, the breakout stock of the day. So those stocks were up over 3%. You also have Reliance, which was doing quite a bit of heavy lifting today. That continues to be one of the top contributors. But by the end of the trading session, ICICI Bank takes that crown because that was up over 2% and supported the market with a 40 points gain. HDFC Bank up 2.5%, a 38-point contribution coming in. What did not do well? Well, the sore spot has been Sun Pharma today, a 3% cut because the commentary on the con call was not very impressive. Power Grid is down 2%. It started off actually with a cut of around 5%, recovered a bit, but nonetheless it was clearly a weak showing coming in from Power Grid. From the broader markets, defense is something which was doing very well. So a Garden Reach, a Cochin Shipyard, a Mazgaon Dock, even RVNL for that matter. All of these stocks were firing away, and then the real estate pack. So Brigade Enterprises was up 6%. You also had Prestige Enterprise Estate actually doing 4% move, and autos as well with M&M, Aisha all doing quite well in the trading session. On the losing side, HEG it ended with a cut of 15%. That demerger is something which has not been liked by that street. Also the fact that Deepak Nitrite commentary on the con call wasn't impressive. Lupin saw a cut of almost 5% on that competition heating up, and Jubilant Foodworks, which started off well, saw a complete reversal and it ended the day pretty much around the flat level. So that's how we're ending the trading session. No, it's not the mark of 23,000 on the Nifty yet, but can't complain even about 22,950 and that solid rally that we saw. But with that, curtains down on this edition of Closing Trades.